Hello everyone, this is Ms.Tina. Welcome back to our English story time. Today, Ms.Tina wants to show you a story. The story's name is The Berenstain Bears and the Sitter. The Berenstain Bears and the Sitter. Here comes the Berenstain family, the bears, and also a sitter. Now, what happened to the story? Let's find out. The bear went over the mountain. The bear went over the mountain. What is it? Said Papa Bear as he took the day's mail from the bear family's mailbox. It was a notice telling about an important meeting that night at the bear country town hill. The bear went up the mountain, the bear went up the mountain. So Mama Bear called up Gracie Gran. Brother and sister bear sometimes stay with grandpas and grands when Mama and Papa Bear had to be away. But grandpas and gran were planning to go to the meeting too, so brother and sister couldn't stay with them. The bear went up the mountain, the bear went up the mountain, or with Aunt Maud or Cousin Weeper. They were going to a meeting too. Why can't we go with you? Asked sister, beginning to get a little upset. Yeah, asked brother bear. Because, said Papa, this meeting is for grown-ups, and besides, it won't be over until late, way past your bedtime. Well, where are we going to stay? The cubs want to know. The bear went up the mountain, the bear went up the mountain. You are going to stay right here, said Mama as she put down the phone. Alone? asked sister. Of course not, said Mama. I have arranged for a sitter. A sitter? said brother. Who is going to be? Sister asked. Mrs. Grease, who lives in the hollow stump at the end of the road, said Mama, feeling much better about the whole thing. Mrs. Grease? said the cub, not feeling better at all. Oh no, I don't want to see Mrs. Grease. Can we stay with others, Mommy, Daddy, please? The bear went up the mountain, the bear went up the mountain. Once, when sister was playing with her friends, they both went into Mrs. Grease's flower garden. Mrs. Grease wasn't too happy about it. Oops. And another time, when brother was flying his kite, it swooped and bumped Mrs. Grease on the head. She wasn't too tickled about that either. Oh no, do we really need to stay with Miss Grease? The bear went up the mountain, the bear went up the mountain. Later that evening, after the supper things had been cleaned up, Mama and Papa got ready to go to the town meeting. But who is going to scrub our backs? Read us a story and talk us in, asked sister, still a little nervous about the idea of a sitter. I understand that Mrs. Grease had read 7 cups of her own, said Mama, putting on her hat. And I'm sure she's perfectly good back scrubber, story reader, and talker inner. She's not going to scrub my back, Brother Bear said under his breath. Oh, don't you understand? We just don't want to stay with Mrs. Grease. The bear went up the mountain, the bear went up the mountain. Mrs. Grease came walking up the path to the bear's tree house right on time. There was no question about it. It was the same Mrs. Grease who got bumped with the kite and didn't like cubs tumbling her flower. She was very large, almost as big as Papa, and she carried a drawer-stealing bag. Look at Mrs. Grace. She looks like unhappy. The bear went up the mountain, the bear went up the mountain. Evening, oh, said Mrs. Grace in a loud, jolly voice. Well, time's wasting, you two, she said to Mama and Papa. You better schedule off to your meeting. Mrs. Gray had a strong way of saying things, and folks usually did what she said. Mama and Papa kissed the cubs good night and scheduled. The bear over the mountain, the bear went up the mountain. Phew, said Mrs. Grace, as she sat down in Papa's big chair. It sure is good to get a lot off your feet. She took off her hat and looked into her drawing bag. There's something about somebody looking into a bag that makes cubs very curious. Mrs. Grace, said Sister. Yes? What's in the bag? Nothing much. Just some things I take along when I go sitting. A place, a pieces of string, a pack of cards. Meanwhile, over a town hall, the bear went getting ready for their important meeting. The bear went up the mountain, the bear went up the mountain. They were getting ready for a speech, voting, and arguments about some new laws. But Mama's mind was not on the meeting, neither was Papa's. Mama and Papa Bear were thinking about what was going on back home. Sister looked a little worried when we left, freaked Mama. So did Brother, agreed Papa. They decided to go home and see how things were going. The bear went up the mountain, the bear went up the mountain. Things are going just fine, said Mrs. Grace. Brothers and sister can come to the phone right now. They are busy playing cat's cradle. Have a good meeting, shouted the cubs. But they say to have a good meeting. After cat's cradle, they played goldfish with the cards that came out of Mrs. Grace's drawing bag. Then they played tiddlywinks with a special set of wings that Mrs. Grace had made out of polished stone and the snail shell cup. Wow, they played so much game and they had so much fun. The bear went up the mountain, the bear went up the mountain. After a while, the cubs got a yawn. And Mrs. Grace began getting them ready for bed. So Mrs. Grace holding the sister bear and the brother bear and ready for bed. The bear went up the mountain, the bear went up the mountain. And she did indeed turn out to be a very good back scrubber. Brother changed his mind about not having his back grabbed because they are taking a shower. And the brother bear said, please help me scrub my back. And Mrs. Grace said, no problem. So she helped them to scrub their back. And she was a fine story reader. And Mrs. Grace read the brother and sister asleep story. And a really super talker in there. And then Mrs. Grace tuckled the sister and brother into the bed. Good night, sleep tight, little bears. The bear went up the mountain, the bear went up the mountain. I hope Mama and Papa had a good meeting, said Sister with a yawn. Oh, because we had a very good sit. Thank you so much, Mrs. Grace, the brother and sister said it. The bear went up the mountain, the bear went up the mountain. The cubs had a number of different sitters from time to time, but Mrs. Grace was their favorite, and they were always glad to see her. And she's so tired too, she also take a nap when Daddy and Mommy come back home. Wow, everything already settled down and they already slept. The bear went up the mountain, the bear went up the mountain. Today we are going to introduce the word sitter, sitter, S-I-T-T-E-R, sitter, sitter, 就是保姆的意思哦。Hope you learn the word and enjoy story. I will see you next time. Bye bye.